Exactly a week after being released from his WCW contract, Bret Hart in his latest Calgary Sun column on Friday officially announced his retirement from wrestling after suffering a series of concussions in a short span between December to January that ended up doing irreversible damage, with Hart still feeling the effects 10 months later, recapping his career while thanking the fans worldwide for their support over the years to confirm that he wrestled his last match, with it being a Nitro main event against Nash on January 10 in what was also ended up by now the highest-rated opposed Nitro segment in over a year, drawing a 4.1 rating, with Bret in an interview following the announcement saying that both WWF and WCW burned the bridge with him and he is not interested in being an on-air character if he can't wrestle, saying that he's 90% recovered from the concussion issues but still sometimes has balance and memory issues, which was evident to him during the talked about confrontation with Bill Goldberg on Thunder last month. Nitro's first hour saw a unique segment with the majority of the roster and production crew, including Booker and Goldberg, coming out to congratulate Hugh Morris on winning the U.S. title, with Goldberg telling Morris that his work in the company and behind the scenes is appreciated by the locker room, while making reference to him being the first opponent in his original winning streak, followed by Goldberg coming back out minutes later to take out Disco and Wright while cutting a promo with a message to the roster saying that he's gonna break his own record and they are all next, closing the hour with a 3.2 rating with the reveal of the new CEO coming next. After the last hour of hype for the reveal, Mike Sanders, who was put in the commissioner position by Russo due to him taking himself off television after his latest concussion a few weeks back, came out to accept the role before Ric Flair made his return as the new CEO 2 minutes from the top of the hour, with Flair, who was last seen on TV being involved in the David Stacey wedding angle and was originally set to be revealed as the father for the payoff, coming out in a new role under the new creative committee in another direction turn that took place between every regime since September of 1999, with Flair telling Sanders that he was 10 years old when he first wrestled for the world title, saying that they have one of the greatest talent pools in history on the roster and it's time to make them work, reinstating Lex Luger as his first move in charge before being confronted by Jeff Jarrett, with the first opposed quarter with the reveal of Flair as the new CEO, along with Luger's first promo back against Buff Bagwell, saw Nitro opening with its strongest number since the last time Flair made his return on September 11, drawing a 2.7 rating with only 1.5 rating points separating it from Raw's 4.2 in the closest margin in month. Raw, coming in front of another sold-out crowd of over 14,000 people from the Fleet Center in Boston, saw the company in between the No Mercy pay-per-view last Sunday and the start of the build-up to Survivor Series next week, planning a loaded card for tonight with commercials over the weekend on TNN advertising a double main event of Austin vs. Rikishi in a cage match and Rock vs. Jericho for a title shot against Kurt Angle on SmackDown Thursday, opening the show with Eddie Guerrero vs. Chyna for the IC title. After two unscripted mentions of Scott Hall last week against the company, Nash, who was allegedly told not to mention Hall again, was out on commentary for a Thrillers vs. Chronic tag match. And while not mentioning him by name, Nash took a cardboard cutout of Hall from the crowd with the cameras immediately cutting away, followed by the crowd chanting "We want Hall" minutes later, with Nash acknowledging the chant again without mentioning the name, as Nitro, who held its viewership far better than in recent weeks in the first 15 minutes, sharply dropped from the show-high 2.7 rating to a 1.9 in what has become the more normal viewing pattern, while Raw has picked up over 700,000 viewers to a 4.7 rating in a quarter featuring a Hardys vs. Right to Censor tag going 5 minutes. With the WCW sale to the WWF story cooling off in the past week with no new updates after it looked like McMahon was the heavy favorite to complete the deal in the near future, Vince publicly commented on the rumors for the first time during the WWF's special event to announce the company's move to the New York Stock Exchange last Wednesday, saying that he needs to be careful with what he says now that they are a public company, but admitting that they have had conversation with Turner about the possibility of buying WCW. With the WWF's launch at the New York Exchange, which saw every major name in the company at the event and a reported massive crowd of almost 10,000 people on the street, signaling another milestone for the company in the current boom period, with Vince McMahon ringing the bell followed by Rock closing the event in a promo saying that the WWF is taking over Wall Street, as both shows stayed steady in the next quarter, with Nitro having a Sanders vs. Cat angle and Steiner's entrance and pre-match promo for the main event, while Raw saw the continuation of the Rock-Rikishi angle, with Rikishi asking Rock for help in his upcoming match against Austin, with the tease of Rock subtly agreeing to it to continue to hint at a possible Rock turn. Nitro's main event, originally said to be Booker vs. Awesome with Steiner added to the match by Sanders during the show, went 8 minutes to pick back up around 400,000 viewers into the 2 rating range, ending up with Booker retaining after pinning Awesome before calling Steiner back out to set up a rematch between them in the near future after a DQ finish last night, with Nitro mostly on the back of the bigger-than-usual first opposed quarter for the reveal of Flair as the new CEO jumped from the last 2 weeks to a 2.5 rating overall. Rikishi and Austin made their entrances at 9:57 p.m. to cross into the first unopposed quarter, with the match advertised to start at the top of the hour in commercials prior to the show, with Austin walking out in his ring gear in his first TV match back in almost a year and the first match on Raw since a match against Billy Gunn on November 1, 1999, going 5 minutes in the cage and the Austin-Rikishi feud blow off with Austin going over clean to close it, with the match opening Raw's second hour jumping over 1.2 million viewers to the peak of the night 5.6 rating. With the negative effects of the move from the USA Network to Viacom now clear a month after the move, the WWF were not the only ones affected, as USA Network, which driven by Raw established itself as the top-rated network on cable television over the past 2 years, dropped significantly from a 2.2 primetime rating average to a 1.7 in the first month without WWF programming, taking the network from number 1 on the cable charts to its lowest rated placing in years at number 5, as the WWF, looking to build on last week's highest rating so far in the TNN era, loaded up the second hour with a top pay-per-view headliners, as in addition to the Austin-Rikishi opening the hour and the Rock-Jericho match set for the main event, Raw in the middle featured a Mick Foley segment bringing back Debra as his assistant and an impromptu Triple H vs. Kurt Angle match. As with Austin making his in-ring TV return on the night, Austin was also back full-time on the road, with his first house show match taking place 2 days ago in the company's debut at the Air Canada Centre in Toronto, headlining the show in front of over 16,000 people with a Rock and Austin vs. Rikishi and Benoit tag match, and with Rock working extra days for months between the full-time wrestling schedule and media appearances in addition to his now Hollywood commitments, Jim Ross confirmed during the week that Rock was taken off all house shows for the rest of 2000, with him unlikely to work many non-televised events on the way to the start of the filming of The Scorpion King in April 2001. Minutes before the main event, Rock and Jericho hyped their match in one of the most memorable promo exchanges of the year, constantly interrupting and using each other's catchphrases, with the match going 7 minutes crossing into an 11-minute overrun, ending up with Rock going over to set up a Rock vs. Angle title match on SmackDown, with the post-match angle seeing Rikishi turning on Rock to reveal that he knew about him running over Austin to build anticipation for Rock's response on Thursday.